Dependency podcast. I'm your host, Frank, also known as Sir Mason. Before we start, I have two things I need to say first. This Dependency podcast joined the Kingsman Tetris friendly Discord server. We have a Discord channel over at CTEC where you will find all the links to every podcast. You can also join the discussion to talk PDP 24/7. You will find the invitation link all over our PDP socials. Secondly, the CTWC season is upon us. During CTWC season, we will produce 3 different piece dependency podcasts. Besides the usual first Wednesday of November and the first Wednesday of December, we will have another podcast on the third Wednesday of November. Alright, let's move on to today's episode. He cleared 95 as the first person in the world. He went to CTWC in 2019 and he's the quote-unquote leader for the German scene. It's Marq, and this is our conversation. Marq, welcome to the Peace Dependency Podcast. Thank you for joining me this month. And the first question is always the same question to everyone who's new on the podcast, and that is, how did you get into NES Tetris?
That's a good question, I would say. I was playing a little NES Tetris when I was still like a small child, because my mother had like an NES and I was playing there sometimes. But when I grew up, like I grew up as a normal boy, I would say, like I didn't play NES Tetris. But at some point I saw on YouTube the CTWC videos got recommended to me. So I started watching that and I was like, whoa, something like this exists. Yeah, and then I was like just watching these videos daily, like every morning while eating breakfast, I was watching CTWC videos, and at some point I was like, wait, my mom still has the NES, so
Yeah.
yeah, and then I set it up and started playing by myself.
What was the first match that you saw?
Um,
Is it
I still remember.
Is it the famous Jeff versus Jonas match, or was it a
I
different one?
I think it was Jeff versus Jonas. I know that it was Jonas for sure, but I'm not quite sure if it was this match, but I assume it was this match.
I mean, Jonas played in a lot of World Championship matches, so probably the first one that you saw has to be with Jonas in it.
Yeah, that's true. He was my favorite back then.
Yeah. Your mom had a PAL console.
Yes.
You do have an NTSC Maxout.
Yes, I do.
Is that on an emulator or a console?
No, that was also on the original console.
Oh, that's amazing. Normally, European players, when they have a Maxout, is first on an emulator, and then they import a NES, NTSC NES. But how long did it take before you got that Maxout?
Oh, that's a really good question. Maybe like almost 2 years, I would say, in total. But when I started playing NTSC, like I don't know, a month maybe.
A month after you started playing NTSC?
Yeah, maybe also 2 months. I can't quite remember, but not that long.
And was that before or after you won the German qualifier?
After.
Oh, wow. So in PAL, there's a magic number, and that's 700,000 points. How frustrating is it that your PB is less than 4,000 points away?
That is actually pretty frustrating.
I can hear it. I'm mentioning PAL 700, and you're like, not
Yes.
this again.
I don't know if you know this, but my PB before that was actually 691k.
Yeah, I was looking it up on the Discord, and I saw in the list that you had a 690. What was it? 693. And then I saw that you a couple of days ago you had a new PB, 696.
Yeah.
Or are you secretly trying to do the Marq Michas challenge?
Maybe subconsciously, but not on purpose.
For people who don't know what a Marq Michas challenge is, Marq had a PB of 699,000 points, 980. So just under 700,000 points. Fortunately for Marq, he has now a PB of over 700,000 points. But when do you think you will reach 700,000?
I think it will happen in the next few days or weeks. I've been grinding a lot of level 18 starts, and I think it should happen like in the next 2 weeks or something.
And what did you What were your thoughts when you saw AdamMts had a 600k score on a Palm 19 start?
My first reaction was actually, I thought he had like a typo, and it was actually level 18. But then I was like, why would level 18 600k be something special for Adam?
It's just a casual day for him.
Yeah, so I was thinking like, and then at some point I realized that's really it is really like a level 19 start, and I was like, whoa.
He mentioned in the last podcast that he wanted to do a Palm Maxout. Do you think that's possible?
Totally.
And when do you think that's possible?
That's a hard question. I mean, to be honest, I would not be surprised if Adam would get a max out in like the next few days, because that would be such an Adam thing, like just coming out of nowhere with like a super high score. I don't know. I think maybe like 1 more year or something.
It would be amazing to have a console Palm Maxout.
Yeah, that's true.
But Marq, you're most famously known for the first person who cleared B mode 95. Were you surprised that no one else has ever beaten 95 before?
Actually, yes, because I don't know if you saw it in the GameScout video, for example, but it actually took me like 20 minutes of trying.
Yeah, that's a big meme right now, 20 minutes within the community.
Yeah, and you can actually hear me saying like as my reaction in German, of course. I'm saying something like, "Oh, I got really lucky, but that wasn't even like hard." So it felt kind of weird that I was the first one, to be honest.
But you were grinding in 94 for an hour.
Yes.
And then you said, "Oh, wait, I can't beat 94. Let's do 95." What were you thinking?
my idea was like, I was thinking that 19.4 is gonna be like really hard, but people already have already done that. So if I'm gonna do like a really hard challenge, I might as well do something that no one has done before, like 19.5. You know, like I feel like if I would have done 19.4, it would kind of be like wasted effort because people already did that. But 19.5 would be like I would be the first one, and that's what happened.
Did you think that you could even beat 19.5 since no one else has ever beaten it before?
To be honest, I wasn't even thinking about that. I was gonna like just try it out for fun because I didn't know how hard it is. So I was just like, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna see how far I come, and like I'm gonna see if it's beatable after some tries.
And what's the secret behind 95?
Very fast tapping.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Of course, you need really good RNG. Like you need perfect pieces almost. And if you know how to stack them, for example, stack the L piece to the left to like burn down, and small things like this. If you know how to stack basically and get the right pieces, and you're fast enough, then it's like pretty doable.
How did you learn to tap?
I was actually, when I started to play Tetris, I was playing with Daz actually.
Yeah.
But after Joseph won the CTWC 2018,
Yeah.
I was like, seems like this tapping isn't that bad. And I knew that I could do the vibration motion. I knew that because I used it in other games already.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how to put the vibration on my NES controller, so I tried out different grips and stuff, and at first it seemed like it won't work. So I gave up and just continued playing with Daz.
Yeah.
But then like some months later, I played around with the tapping idea again, and then I found my grip again.
What's your grip?
It's not easy to explain. Most people probably know about it, but basically, I grab the controller from the top with my left hand, so I can press A and B with my left hand thumb.
Yeah.
And then I hold the controller like this and basically press the controller against my knee, and then it's like in a solid position. So I can use my right hand, my middle finger, and my index finger for the tapping on the D-pad.
How comfortable is that grip?
It can get pretty uncomfortable, to be honest.
Because I remembered that you had a injury in your arm, I believe, or your wrist.
No, I didn't have an injury. It's just like it was hurting really bad once, but I never had like an injury or something.
Okay. When you feel that pain, when it's get uncomfortable, are you playing it through or are you stopping?
It depends how much on how much fun I'm having. Like it doesn't. I'm not even like, oh, I have to play through the pain. I have to get better. It's more like Tetris is so much fun right now. I want to continue to play, but it's hurting. So if I'm having a lot of fun, I'm just playing through, to be honest. But at some point, it will hurt so much that I can't even tap anymore. So that's the point where I have to stop, basically.
What makes Tetris so fun for you?
I think it's kind of the challenge of getting like better and higher scores.
Yeah.
But also, if I'm not playing for like PB, it's still really fun. I think it's just like the satisfaction of like doing Tetrises, the satisfaction of like playing fast. I don't know exactly. It's just fun.
What do you think is more fun? Just playing for yourself, going for a PB, or going for, I don't know, a specific score, or playing in competition?
The most fun is, in my opinion, just playing for nothing. But it depends on how you see the fun. I mean, playing for PB is also really fun, but it's more like really fun in the bigger picture, I'd say. Because getting new PBs in the end is more fun than just playing.
Yeah.
But in the moment, just playing is more fun, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. You don't play a lot of competition, do you?
Yeah, that's true. I play sometimes. I think it's because I'm more like a fan of like real life tournaments. I also like the online tournaments like CTP, but um, there's just not that much of a point, in my opinion, other than like practicing competition. Because the real life tournaments, the meeting people apart and stuff like this is what it's really about for me.
You want to connect with the community instead of just only playing matches.
Yes, exactly.
Are we ever going to see you back in CTP or CTM?
Yes. CTP more likely. I don't know about CTM, but CTP for sure. I'm actually thinking about maybe competing next month already.
Do we think you can win it?
I think I can, because the biggest opponent is definitely Adam.
Yeah.
But I won single games against him before. Also in a CTP, I won against him before. So I know that it's gonna be really hard against him, but it's definitely doable. And then of course there's the other players who are also really tough and can beat me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Adam is the one player who's like there every month consistently.
True.
So he's gonna be like the main opponent. But if I'm lucky and manage to beat Adam somehow, then I think I have chances of winning the whole CTP.
You joined Adam's PAL 19 tournament. What was it like to play on only level 19?
Actually, it's kind of weird because playing in a level 19 tournament is really different than just playing on 19.
What's the difference?
It's like when you play and you know that you have to get a certain score, or you play on 19 and you know that you have to do good.
Yeah.
Then suddenly I get too excited and too stressed in a way, and then it's harder to concentrate. It's harder to play good, especially on 19. If you don't concentrate for a second, you're out. You know.
Yeah. But
I think that it's the pressure what kind of like kills it.
if you're playing in a real life tournament or you're playing an online tournament, there's always an amount of stress. But you're
Yeah.
starting on level 15 or level 18. But like you said, level 19 is a different kind of beast. It's stress from minute 1, second 1. Does it help that you played in a 19 tournament for future tournaments, that you know how to handle the stress? Because you managed to take it all the way to the final where you played Adam. So you had 2 or 3 PAL 19 matches.
I hope it helped, but I think it doesn't really make a difference in the long run. It might make a difference if I would compete in every PAL 19 tournament, like every month. I think Adam is doing a monthly.
Yeah.
But I don't think it makes that much of a difference that I competed once, to be honest.
Last year you had I think a pretty good week. You won the German qualifier. You beat 95. I think it was in the same week.
Yes, I think so also.
And you maxed out 1 or 2 months later. Can you take us back? Take us through the journey and started in 2018 because you missed 2018 CTWC Germany, right?
Kinda. I was basically in 2018. I was at the Gamescom. That's like the biggest German gaming event.
Yeah.
And I wasn't that good in NES Tetris yet. I was still playing with Des also.
Yeah.
But I knew about everything about CTWC and stuff. So I was just like walking around with my friends and stuff. And then out of a sudden I saw this CTWC Germany thing, and I was getting so excited because for me it was always like CTWC is like an American only thing,
Yeah.
and there's no Tetris in Germany and stuff like that. So I saw it and I went there, but the qualification phase was over in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So basically I had 20 minutes left to qualify. That didn't go well because I wasn't that good. I think I would have to beat. I had to beat 400k to qualify. I had like won 320k or something, but I just wasn't good enough back then to beat that in 20 minutes. And that was actually the point where I was like, okay, next year I'm gonna practice, and next year I'm gonna win this thing. I'm gonna destroy everyone.
Yeah.
And that also kind of motivated me because it showed me that Tetris exists in Germany. So that motivated me to play more also.
Yeah.
So next year, Gamescom, I knew that there's going to be CTWC Germany.
Yeah.
But we thought, as the community, we thought it's going to be PAL because that's like the logical thing for German competition.
Was the 2018 tournament, was that on PAL or NTSC?
That was on PAL.
Okay. Well, now I get a confusion. Yeah.
So we assumed 2019 is also going to be on PAL.
Yeah.
And then I think it was 4 days before the actual competition, someone texted me on Discord actually that he knows the organizer. It's like his friend or something.
Yeah.
And he texted me that it's going to be on NTSC. So I was like, what am I going to do now? And then I borrowed the NTSC console from my friend. He has one actually.
Yeah.
And I practiced NTSC for like the last 3 days before the competition.
How much time did you put in NTSC Tetris in those 3 days?
Probably a lot. It's probably like at least 3 or 4 hours a day. I mean, I didn't play that much on the last day because I have this mentality like on the last day before the tournament you shouldn't play too much to give yourself like a break so your body can like regenerate and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like on these days I played a lot just because I was like, I'm only used to PAL. I have to practice as much NTSC now as possible.
But it was never mentioned anywhere that the tournament was on NTSC instead of PAL.
I think it was mentioned like 2 days before the tournament.
Oh.
Yeah, I have to say the organization itself wasn't good at all. They also announced the tournament itself like not even a week before it.
Oh wow.
And yeah, and also because the Gamescom is such a big gaming convention, the tickets were sold out already, of course. So announcement 1 week before was like useless anyways, because no one could buy a ticket anymore anyways.
So probably the best players in the German scene at that time couldn't compete in a qualifier because the tickets were sold out.
Yes.
But you already had tickets.
Yes, because I was just assuming that it's gonna take place again.
Oh, yes, just one lucky shot.
Yeah, I know, right? But I've heard the year before that, 2018, where I actually went there also. I've heard that it was similar, that they also announced like a few days before. So I was kind of like assuming that this could be happening again. So I was like, just in case, getting a ticket already.
Yeah.
And if the thing wouldn't have taken place, then I just would have had a fun day on the gaming event, on the gaming convention.
Was it that there the seed was planted to organize your own tournament and make it better?
The seed wasn't planted there yet, but on the 2018 CTWC Germany, the seed to make a community was planted.
All right. I want to talk about the community a bit further in the podcast, but you reached the final in the German qualifier. You played against Maurice. I believe he reached the final or won the year before, and you won the first two games. You played the third game. Maurice stopped out. You were 30,000 points behind. What went through your mind?
In that moment, I was kind of like, I wasn't even very stressed, to be honest, because I was like, even if I would lose this, I still have like 2 more games to catch up.
Yeah.
And not to catch up, to get my last win. And I mean, even back then, I wasn't that bad on 19. Like, I could survive on 19 pretty long, and 30,000 points is like nothing. So I was pretty chill in that moment, to be honest. I was pretty sure that I'm gonna do it.
Were you sure that you were going to win the qualifier?
99%, to be honest.
Why so much confidence?
Because at that time, the German community already existed. So I already knew who's a good player and who's not. And I also already knew who will be able to show up there and who not. And basically all the really good players who could have beaten me
Yeah.
weren't able to come. So I was very sure that the only possibility that I'm not gonna win is if some secret player I don't know about yet will show up there.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen, unfortunately, for me.
We will return to the conversation with Marq in a minute. But first, if you like the Peace Dependency podcast, help us grow. Please share the podcast with every classic Tetris fan. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Peace Dependency. Like our Facebook page, Peace Dependency Podcast. You can also subscribe to our YouTube page, where we will have all the podcasts uploaded at full length. Also, you can listen to the Peace Dependency Podcast on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app. Join the Kingsman Tetris friendly server. Besides the fact that it's the place to discuss anything Peace Dependency, you can also participate in some lovely friendlies or put your ELO on the line in the various ELO battles. Last but not least, if you have a suggestion who we need to have on the next Peace Dependency podcast, let us know through our socials or send us an email to peacedependencypodcast@gmail.com. Now, let's go back to the conversation with Marq, where we'll talk about his CTWC 2019 experience. So then you swept Maurice, you went to Portland. Who went with you to Portland?
My dad, first of all, and also a very good friend of me. Actually, he was my best friend at the time.
Yeah.
He's called David, or his Discord name is Gex. Maybe some people from the German community know him. Yeah, and that made it like even more fun, the trip, actually, like being well with a friend. So this was pretty awesome.
How did you go to your dad? Like, I'm going to qualify. I'm going to a qualify tournament. If I win, I go to Portland. Are you coming with me? What was his reaction like? Okay, sure, do your best.
Kinda. I mean, it wasn't that shocking for him because he saw my slow transition. Like, he knew about the 2018 qualifier, and he knew that I want to compete in 2019 again. So it wasn't that much of a shock of him. It was more like he slowly got used to it, I would say.
What was your first impression in Portland, or your first impression at the Retro Gaming Expo?
Oh, I was pretty overwhelmed, to be honest, because it was like first time being in the USA, and then first time being like at the Portland Retro Convention. Like I've watched these CTWC videos for such a long time, and like I could never in my life imagine that I could one day actually be there. But then I was just there at this place, and like I said, first time USA and all that. It was really like I was like nerding out extremely, to be honest.
It's a pretty nerd convention, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, everything retro is nerdish.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you do more during your time in Portland, or was it just that weekend and then you went back home to Germany?
It was like only 4 days, so basically this one weekend and then one day after, one day before. But I wasn't like touristing or something. We were just like going to restaurants and stuff like that. I mean, if you're as a European, if you're going to the USA for the first time, then like anything is gonna be interesting, basically. So
Yeah.
yeah, just going to a cafe and ordering something to eat is like a really exciting thing already.
How bad was the jet lag?
It was actually pretty fine. Also because luckily for me, it's like traveling from here to the USA is not that bad. It's worse in the other direction. So going there, jet lag pretty much wasn't much of an issue. I just went to sleep later than usual. Or, I don't know. Basically, it wasn't big of an issue, to be honest. The issue was more like coming back and then like staying up all night
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
And then Friday always there are some side events. Which side events did you compete in?
I played Mind Meld. Is it called the two-player thing? I think it's called Mind Meld.
And who was your partner?
I was playing with Dan QZ.
Did you know you were going to play with him, or was it just you saw him and then do you want to be my partner on Mind Meld?
I already contacted him before. I can't remember why. Oh yeah, because I think because of a hotel. Oh no, wait, let me think. I'm sorry. It was because he also won a qualifier.
Yeah.
So that's why I contacted him to get like details on how all that works.
Yeah.
And then we started texting and making a group and stuff like that. And at some point, I was like, "Hey Dan, there's gonna be this mind meld thing. Do you want to play with me?" He was like, "Yeah."
How did you prepare for that?
No, not at all.
How did it go?
It went really well, actually. We got second place. We got beaten by Jonas and Trey, I think.
Oh boy, yeah. That
Um,
then you got beat by the best.
yeah, but other than that, we beat every match. We got second place, like I said, so it went pretty well, considering that we didn't practice or anything.
Yeah.
I also competed in the Invisible Tetris, and that didn't go well at all. I lost in the first round, and I think I probably had the lowest score of all the tournament.
Well, you played against Kauser, Korea.
Yeah. Honestly, even if I wouldn't have played against him, I could have played against anyone. I would have lost. I was doing so bad.
How hard is it?
Extremely hard. I was trying to remember like the first few pieces, but then like after 5 or 6 pieces, I was starting to lose track already. And then at some point, I was just putting the pieces somewhere and hoping that something would burn.
But it didn't.
Yeah.
And then you also played a third side event. Which one?
I played in the known Xbox high score tournament thing.
How did that go?
I would say that went okay. I can't remember my score, but it wasn't that far away from like top scores. I think I also have an advantage because of my tapping, so I don't have to load DAS and I can react faster to the piece falling.
True.
And what I also did, which is not quite a side event, but they also had like a station for like testing your tapping speed. Because they did some studies on something.
Yeah.
So they had made you like tap for specific amounts of times. Like first you have to tap for 1 second, then for like 30 seconds straight, and then for like 10 seconds.
Ooh.
And they told me that I was like, from everyone who competed in this thing, I was the fastest one.
What is your tapping speed?
I think it's about like consistently about 16 clicks per second.
That's a lot.
Yeah, sometimes I can get up to like 18. Some people even say I can do 20, but I personally don't believe in that. I believe this is more if I like just tap the pieces in the right frames, basically, or if I just get lucky or something.
Yeah.
I don't think it's possible for me to tap 20 hertz, but like 16, I can get 16 consistently, and then like up to 17 or 18.
And then what did you do the rest of the day on Friday?
Just vibing, chilling, like you said, feeling the vibe of a competition. Watching the speedrun event, for example.
Yeah.
And just like hanging out with the other people, also hanging out with Paul from Singapore, with Dan QZ, like I said, and all these great people. We had a lot of fun.
And then one day later, Saturday, it's qualifying day. How nerve-wracking is qualifying day?
It's really nerve-wracking. There's basically two ways to qualify. Most people already know that probably, but you can have the station or qualification station for 1 hour, and then you can like play 1 hour straight.
Yeah.
And the second way is to go into the queue and wait until it's your turn, and then you can play one game. And as soon as you top out, you have to go back into the queue again. Yeah, both of these things were extremely nerve-wracking because in the one qualifying hour, you knew that you had to like get a good score on this 1 hour.
Yeah.
Because it's not easy to get really good score on this queue system. And in the queue system, it was also extremely nerve-wracking because you had to wait so much time that you knew that you have to basically make every attempt a good attempt. So really stressful. Yeah.
I heard a lot of people saying that the queue, just waiting in line, is the most fun part about the whole qualifying day. You get to meet so much people. How many people did you spoke to that day?
Or probably a lot of people. What was also great about the queue, there was one part where it was like kind of going like back and forth, so that you couldn't just see the people in front of and behind you. You could also interact with the people on your sides, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And so in the queue, for the first time, I spoke to many people that I knew from like the videos for the first time. Like, for example, I saw Green Teen in the queue for the first time, and I was like talking to him. What was actually really funny about Green Tea, he was playing some modern guideline Tetris on his phone while waiting for the queue
No.
to do his qualification attempt.
That's a whole different technique.
Yeah, I was actually asking him, how can you do this? Like how do you not get confused? How can you play guideline Tetris and then NES Tetris right after and still get good scores? And he
Yeah.
was just like, I don't know, I'm just playing.
No way.
Yeah, I was very surprised.
Man. And did people recognize you that you were Marq who cleared 19.5 for the first time?
Yes, actually even Joseph recognized me. Not by my face, but I was like walking up to him and I was like, hey Joseph, my name is Marq. And then he was like, oh yeah, you're the German guy who cleared 19.5, right? And
Amazing.
I was feeling really proud in that moment because Joseph is like that world champ. He's like so much above me.
Yeah.
And he recognized me, like this guy who was watching his videos. He recognized me, and that was a really big moment for me, to be honest.
Where did you get your top score in that 1 hour rental station session or in the queue?
I think it was in the queue, but I'm not sure.
And then you qualified on seed number 21. You had to play in round 0 match. Right after you qualifying was done, were you mentally prepared for that round 0 matchup?
Yes, for that matchup I was also really confident, just because I know it's round 0 and the guy I'm gonna play is gonna be below me, also is gonna have a seat below me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was mentally prepared and I was really confident.
But you still have to do it. And it's the World Championship. So no nerves when you played the first match.
I mean, there was a lot of nerves involved, but these were not because I thought I could lose.
Yeah.
These were just like because of it being the World Championships, like you said, and all the surroundings and everything. So I was really nervous because of that, and also it's like being live streamed to so many people and stuff like that.
Yeah. Did you get texts from people that they recognized you and they didn't know you were going to the World Championship?
No, but after I was home again and I went to school, suddenly everyone from my class knew that I was there and was like congratulating me. And even people from like other classes
Yeah.
came to me and were like, hey, I saw you played in the championship and stuff. Because it was kind of like spreading inside my school. Like my class knew and they told their friends from other classes, and it was like, and suddenly everyone from my school, even some teachers, uh like congratulated me and stuff like that.
That has to be an amazing feeling.
Yeah, totally.
What is more nerve-wracking, qualifying or the competition itself?
I would definitely say the competition,
And why?
because with qualifying, it's like you either do a good qualifying attempt or you do a bad qualifying attempt, but no matter what, you will still be able to compete in the tournament. And with the actual playing, it's like either you win or you lose. You're
Yeah.
in or you're out.
Were you surprised with your win over Scottobozo?
This match, I really wanted to win. I wasn't completely sure if I'm gonna win, but I was also really confident, and I was just like, I wasn't really surprised, because for me it was like I can win. I have really high chances, but I don't necessarily have to win, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but why did you want to win?
Because my goal was actually top 16. Like before CTWC, I was like, I want to get into top 16 at least.
Yeah.
This is like my goal. So this match basically decided if I get my goal or not in this year.
And then you lost against Josh Tullis.
Yeah.
Were you disappointed about your loss, or did you think if I have to lose against someone, it's just is a pretty good player to lose against?
I was disappointed, but not because I lost, more because I didn't play very good. For me, it was like, it's Josh Tolles, like you said. I'm probably gonna lose. The chances that I'm gonna win are pretty slim. But I also didn't really play that good in the end, and that was what like disappointed me a little, to be honest.
And what was your general feeling about the whole tournament?
Extremely positive, to be honest.
Yeah.
Not just because it was well organized or whatever, but the main reason why it's like that is just the fun. I had so much fun there. I met so many people. It was just like an amazing experience, probably like one of the best experiences of my life.
And who did you sit next to when you were in the crowd? Next to your dad and your friends?
Actually, my dad wasn't there all the time. He was just like coming for my matches, but he's not really interested in Tetris, so he wasn't there. Most of the time, I was sitting by my friends.
Yeah.
And just watching them together. Yeah.
And this year CTWC will be online. Are you going to compete this year?
Yes.
Ooh, that's cool. And what do you think your chances will be? Do you think you have a shot to make it the top 8?
I think if I'm really lucky, I have a shot to make a top 8. Also because I feel like I improved a lot since last year. And I already heard that some people won't be able to compete in CTWC. I think Green Tea, for example, won't compete for some reason.
True. Yeah.
So I feel like if I get lucky, and basically if all the stars align, kinda, then I might have a shot for top 8.
What do you think of the competition format? Like you have 8 qualifying tournaments, and the winners of all those 8 tournaments qualifiers go to the top 8 main event.
I actually think it's a pretty cool concept, especially for like a viewer, because in my opinion it makes everything a little more exciting, just because the top 8 will be like the top 8 players, and they will have like their own separate tournament in a way.
Yeah.
And I feel like this can make the whole thing more hype.
And besides yourself, who will you be cheering for?
Oh, that's a good question, actually. Probably Korean. I think we can all agree that Korean is like one of the best players out there.
Yeah.
And he was one of the best players for like such a long time, and he always like got so far in the tournaments and stuff like that, but he never won. And I think he just deserves to win, to be honest.
When was your last NTSC match? Was that the World Championship?
No, let me think. After the World Championship, I played CTM, and then I played. Oh yeah, it was the European qualifier for CTWC.
Oh, this year, yeah.
I wasn't doing that great in that one, to be honest. But yeah, that was my last NTSC match.
What did you thought about the online qualifiers for CTWC?
I think it's a really good solution. Of course, I would prefer like real life tournaments,
Yeah.
but unfortunately, right now it's like not that possible. But I think, considering the circumstances, this was like a really good idea.
Yeah. And do you know any of the other German players who will go to CTWC or try to qualify for CTWC?
I think Tetris Schnecke said he might compete. But other than that, I don't know actually.
There's also still a European Championship this year. Are you going to the European Championship?
Yes, if Germany will still be open and all that by then, I will totally go. We are already making plans. I will go with Blauwaldbube. He's also a German player.
Yeah.
And we're already making plans on like how we're gonna travel or like where we're gonna stay and all that.
Will this be your first European Championship?
Yes.
How exciting are you for the European Championship? Because it will be played on PAL.
Actually, I'm very excited because PAL is like my version. It's like where I come from and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But if I compare the CTWC to the European Championship, for CTWC it's more like I want to win as much as I can and get as far as I can.
Yeah.
But if I think about the European Championship, I don't really even care that much about these things. In the European Championship, I'm more excited about meeting the people because these are the people I'm like closer to. These are the people I'm talking to on Discord, for example.
Yeah.
So this is what will be really exciting for me about the European Championship.
Let's bring it closer to home for, well, both of us. Germany. When I joined the community last April, I had no idea that the German scene was this big. The Classic Tetris Germany Discord has over 200 members. Over 40 people have at least and half Maxout on NTSC Tetris. What is it like to be the quote-unquote leader of the German scene?
It's a pretty cool feeling, to be honest, because every time I look at the lists, for example, and like you said, I also see that there's so many people in these lists, and I start feeling really good because I know that I'm a big part of like why the community is that big. Because of me, basically, the community became that big and is that well organized and all that. So that is a really good feeling.
When did the growth start for the German scene?
I would say in the beginning, it was definitely not about getting new players. It was more like about finding players who are already playing but who don't know that the German community exists. Because what I realized very early already when I was watching CTWC 2017,
Yeah.
or was it 2018? Basically, when I was watching the CTWC on Twitch, the stream, I you know how in Twitch there's these location things
Yeah.
where you can see how many viewers from that country, from what country, yeah.
Yeah.
And I realized that Germany was always pretty high. It was always like third place or something. So I was wondering why is there no German community if there are so many German people watching?
Mm-hmm.
So that's also one of the reasons why I made the Classic Tetris Germany and all that.
How did you find all those players?
I could find some on there's a German Tetris server for Guideline Tetris, for Puyo Puyo Tetris.
Yeah.
So there it's kind of started. There the idea also started there. I was like, who's interested in Classic Tetris?
Yeah.
And then I of course looked through all the Discord servers like CTM, CTC back then,
Yeah.
and CTP, and I asked like for German players. So that's where it started. And then many people also joined because we found them on Twitch or on YouTube. Like sometimes I would just go on Twitch and look for the Tetris category.
Yeah.
And then I see there's a guy playing Tetris and he's German. So I was like, hey, did you know there's actually a German Discord server? Many people also just came through from my YouTube, for example. And we had a really big boost when AGamescout made that video about my 19.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was like that gave like 50% or something of the community.
Oh yeah, let's go real quick to your video with GameScout. Did GameScout go to you for? I saw that you beat 95. Do you want to come on my video?
Yeah, basically, he first wrote a comment under my video. He was like, "Wow, amazing," or something like that.
Yeah.
And then some weeks later, he texted me on Discord and he was like, "Hey, I would like to make a video about that." So we agreed on a date. like we did basically.
Yeah.
And then we did the interview, and then I didn't hear anything from him for like a solid month at least.
What were you
And
thinking?
I actually thought the videos there won't be this video.
Hmm.
I thought the idea is cancelled
Yeah.
because there wasn't any updates, nothing was coming up. I already told some of my friends that I'm going to be in an interview, and I was like kind of disappointed.
Oh,
But at
yeah.
some point he was like, "Hey, I know it's been some time, but I'm actually still working on that video, by the way." And that was kind of like a relief.
How much of a response did you get from the video?
Actually, a lot. I think that video was my biggest boost, and also the biggest boost for Classic Tips Germany and all that.
Yeah.
Also because if you look at the YouTube channel from AGamescout, I think this is his video with most clicks from all his channel.
Over 300,000 views. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the German scene. What do you think is the secret behind that the Germans are so good at classic Tetris?
That's a good question. I think it's kind of like, you know, how like Germans are in general like becoming good at almost everything.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it, but there's like a new scene, and then there's the German people just invading the scene and becoming good at it.
Is there a way that are helping each other, or
I think it is really helping that we're like doing many things together. Like even if we're not organizing a tournament, we're just meeting up sometimes, hanging out together, playing some Tetris. And I think this is helping to motivate some people to keep playing.
yeah,
And also just the fact that we have like these high score lists, and we see each other as friends, but also as competition, of course. So it's kind of like pushing each other. Like if you see this guy is like above me on the high score list, but I want to beat his score, and then you grind for the score. It's kind of like pushing each other in a way.
yeah. And who are the three up and coming stars within the German scene?
I think first of all, Poet 13, of course.
Yeah.
He also has the PAL world record on emulator right now. It depends if you count Jake's score, of course.
I think that's a topic for another day.
Yeah, I don't wanna open it up here.
I get Jake someday on the podcast and I will discuss it with him.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And who's next?
Yeah, who's next? Good question. Tetris
Yeah.
he's already pretty known. He's not that extremely good yet, but I think he has potential to be a really good DES player.
Yeah.
And Marq Migas, he won 2019 CTGC. He's also a pretty good. I think he's a hybrid player, not a DES player.
I'm looking at the people who made the German championship. I see Tetris Necker, I see Felinho, I see Blaualbiber, I see you, I see Poet. So many German players. that was a fuck up. I will edit it out. So many German players that are so good, and you have them in one country and on one championship, and magic is bound to happen. The German scene is probably the only one who organized a real life tournament this year. The Classic Tetris Germany Championship was held on September 5th in Saarbrücken, but the tournament was first announced for June 26th, but yeah, then the pandemic showed its face and the things got postponed. Did you ever think that there was going to be a German championship after the first one got postponed?
I wasn't sure yet. The first thing was, of course, what we were thinking about is like postponing, and then like until it's allowed again. But we also wanted it to be before CTEC
Yeah.
to make it a qualifier and all that. So we were kind of like, we will try to make it a real life tournament as good as we can, and if it won't work, we will just make it online basically. So we kind of looked at all the regulations and what we're able to do.
Yeah.
And we are also really lucky with the location, just because Daniel from Saarbrücken, he's the main guy who's organizing everything with me, and he actually has like a nerd gaming shop there.
Yeah.
So that was pretty lucky that we already had a location basically. Yeah, so we did all the regulations that was necessary, and then we managed to do it.
When did you make the decision to go for a IRL tournament?
It wasn't really my decision. It was more like my and Daniel's decision, because he's the guy who has the shop. He's the guy who has the convention knowledge. So I was kind of like talking to him how possible that is to make it real life,
Yeah.
and he was like telling me we would have to think about these things and do these things, and I was like, okay, that's not too bad, we can do it. And when we agreed that we're gonna do a real life tournament.
And what kind of changes are we talking about that you needed before a real life tournament was going to happen?
First of all, this time we did the qualifier online for a simple reason, because we were only allowed to have 20 people in this room at max.
Yeah.
So what we did is like we did the qualification online, so we could control how many players will come. Because
Yeah.
if we say that's the top 12, then it's impossible that 13 players will come.
True. Yeah.
So yeah, that way we could regulate the numbers of the players, and also top 12 is the number we chose, so that the staff also fits in there. And maybe if someone wants to bring a friend or his dad or his girlfriend or whatever,
Yeah.
because with top 16 we would have 4 people spare, and that wouldn't be enough.
And what kind of tournament did you have? Was it a single elimination with the top 4 seeds got a bye on the first round?
Yes, it was single eliminations with round 0.
What was the reaction of going IRL within the German scene?
People were actually really happy. For some people it was not that fortunate, just because they live very far away, so they would have preferred an online event.
Yeah.
But the people who were able to compete and were able to come were actually really happy about it, about the announcement. Also because like there's no events this year basically, and then this one event is still gonna be there, and it's gonna be like people just want to go to some event, if you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
they were really happy about that.
And how was the viewership?
I mean, at the location itself, of course, we didn't have any viewers because of the maximum people numbers.
Yeah. And online?
Um, I think it went pretty good. We had on peak we had like 70 viewers on the Classic Tetris Germany champion channel, and we also had peak about 70 viewers at the Classic Tetris PAL Twitch channel. And there was like most of the time it was like 40 to 50 viewers per channel.
Oh, that's amazing.
So yeah, I think in total it went really good.
I think the only thing that stood a bit in the way was CTMCC tournament
Yeah.
near the end. Yeah. Poets managed to win the tournament. He beat you in the final 3-1.
Yeah.
How did you feel about losing the final for the second time?
Oh, kinda frustrating in a way,
Yeah.
because 2019 and now 2020, both times I know that I had a chance definitely, and both times I was really close to winning actually, and I was also really confident going into the finals, to be honest.
Yeah.
So it was kind of frustrating in a way, but on the other hand, I was also happy for Poet, just because he like deserved it, and just happy that the event in general went so well.
Mm-hmm.
But as a player, of course, I would have liked to get first place. So.
So you're going to win next year.
Yeah, definitely.
So there will be a German championship next year.
Yes.
And do you already know when it's going to happen, or are you waiting what COVID is going to do and then make choices around that?
I mean, even without COVID, we wouldn't know when it's going to happen yet. But it will probably be around August. Because this year, or like we always like try to make it in the summer, somewhere like August, June or July, somewhere
Yeah.
around that time. So if COVID won't strike back or something, it will be there again in this.
And who helped you with organizing the tournament? You mentioned Daniel, but who helped you more?
Yeah, like I said, Daniel, of course. Me and Daniel is like the main part also. And we also had some people from the so-called pop scene. They have a gaming magazine in the Saarland,
Yeah.
where we held the tournament. And they have really professional equipment, like cameras, microphones. That's why the camera quality and all that was so much better. Basically, these people did all the tech stuff, and which was really amazing because that helped higher the quality by a lot.
It was looking
So
amazing, yeah.
yeah, basically, I was doing all the software parts, the tournament itself, some coordination, and Daniel was he had the location. He was like preparing the co-location. He was planning for the COVID regulations and making it official and all that. And these people were doing the technical stuff.
Yeah, and how did you manage to be both a player and an organizer?
This year it wasn't that hard because, like I said, I had many helping hands. Like Jacob was commentating, and at some point I asked this one guy from the pop scene if he could do the seed things.
Yeah.
And we also had the software where the brackets and all that was really easy. So basically, at some point, I could just relax and concentrate on a player, on being a player.
Yeah.
This year, it wasn't an issue at all, to be honest.
Last year was an issue?
Kinda, because last year we weren't really prepared that good like we were this year.
Yeah.
That also meant I slept there at the location, and the night before we were trying to set everything up, and we had some cables missing and all that. Basically, we were like setting things up until 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Just trying to get everything to work, and it was a lot of work. So, and then I slept on the floor with a sleeping bag there at the location, and I got up the next morning. And I had such a headache,
Oh.
and I was also the only one who could use the software. So between every match, I had to go up and do something with the software and go back again and all that.
Oh, that's such frustrating. Yeah.
Yeah, so last year it wasn't that easy, but this year I had enough helping hands basically.
Was there a moment in this year's tournament that you could see that the German scene had grown from 2019 to 2020?
First of all, the qualification scores. This year we had 4 people with a 600k qualification. Last year we had not a single one with 600k.
Oh.
So that showed me that the German scene got better. And also, like we talked about the viewership on the Twitch channels.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also just seeing new people basically, like people who weren't there last year.
And the quality of the matches, was that way better than 2019?
Yeah, that was way better actually. Also because I managed to get this HD re-rendering sharpener tool to work. So you can see the pieces itself also look really sharp, and the camera looks sharp. Everything looks perfect. And last year, the people can compare it by themselves. Like last year and this year, you can't really compare it. It's like such a giant difference.
It's day and night, that's the difference. I want to move on to a different topic, and I don't think it's a controversial one, but it's hypertapping versus DAS. You mentioned you were a DAS player before, now you're a hypertapper. And I asked in the Classic Tetris Germany Discord if people had questions for you. And one question that came up to me was, when is Marq going to learn proper stacking? So then I was thinking, oh lol, Marq is a tapper, he can stack, that's the meme. But I was going to think about it more, and I restream a lot of matches, and I also see tappers, they go YOLO. What is it with tappers and the ability that they can stack?
That's actually not. That's pretty simple to explain. It's basically as a tapper, you have way more space to play with, way more possibilities. So if you do a misdrop, for example, or just a bad stacking choice, it's not that bad. Like if you were a DAS player. So as a DAS player, you get punished more for mistakes, and you also have to play perfect.
Yeah.
And as the thing is, as a hyper tapper, you don't really get punished that much if you do a mistake, so you don't really have to stack that well. Basically, as a hyper tapper, you can rely on your tapping, and as a DAS player, you have to rely on your stacking, to put it simple.
And do you get a lot of comments that you need to learn stacking?
Actually, yeah. The first few ones were like kind of serious, but then at some point people started memeing it a little, to be honest. Yeah, but I'm actually on it. I'm watching Adam's PAL 19 Compendium, and lately I've been playing a lot with DAS just to learn proper stacking and all that, and I think it's helping a lot.
How lethal can a tapper be with good stacking?
I think on PAL, potentially unbeatable. I mean, you've seen what Adam is doing, what Adam did on level 19.
Yeah, and he does that with DAS.
Yeah, and now imagine I would have Adam stacking. I could play 19 for forever. That's not even exaggerated. I could literally play 19 forever, and
Yeah.
in tournaments that would make you unbeatable.
Eric's ICX had a world record last night. He beat 112 lines on NTSC level 29. If that's possible on level 29, what's for many years that was the kill screen and nobody could play on 29 speed. Do you think if you want to play good in NES Tetris, you have to learn tapping, or otherwise you won't make it?
I don't necessarily think so. I think that the hyper tappers have the advantage, but I don't think on NTSC, even as a hyper tapper, I don't think you can play for infinite amount of time on level 29. Of course, like you said, Eric had that world record, but that's like a lucky game, like one of 1,000 games.
Yeah.
And I think even for tappers, that's just too fast to play that long. And on PAL, you can still learn to play really good, even with DAS, like Adam did.
Yeah.
Of course, it's much more work with DAS, and it's way harder, but I don't think that there will be a point where you have to tap or you have no chance. I think DAS players will always have a chance.
Okay. My final question for you will be, what will the future for you, classic Tetris wise, look like?
Next step is 700k on PAL, of course.
Yeah.
And I'm already kind of like planning ahead. Like after that, I want to really try to play more level 19 on PAL and get my stacking really good. Basically, like I told you, if I had Adam's stacking, I would be unbeatable. I kinda want to try to get like near that point.
Yeah.
And then if I manage to do that, if I manage to have really good stacking also, I will try to go for 800k on PAL. That's my plan. That's my goal.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for joining me on the Peace Dependence podcast.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
And with that all being said, this will be the end of the October edition of the Peace Dependency podcast. Thank you all for listening, and make sure you follow the podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Don't forget to join Kingsman Tetris Friendlies. And follow me on the socials at SirMacer. For now, have a great Tetris month, and I will see you all in November. Bye bye.